Well, ladies and gents, it is absolute chaos today. All hell is breaking loose. I don't think it's been, it was only last week actually that I said this is the craziest week. There's been more news this week than in a year. Well, I'm going to double down on that. Today, even before it's lunchtime in Europe, there's been more news in one morning than there has been in months. And there's actually so much that I'm not even going to be able to cover it all, because this is all serious stuff. Each topic really requires a deep dive. So we've got everything from, let me just go through a couple of announcements here. Everything from breaking news on Canada preparing to deploy troops to Greenland, all the way through to Mark Carney's statement. He just did a video conference talking about how he will stand with NATO if the US invades Greenland. Trump actually responded to this. He said he's not abandoned his mission regarding Canada. After Greenland, Canada is next. We're going to talk as well about the World Economic Forum. It's day one was interesting. I was absolutely glued to, it's kind of funny, I was so glued to the live streams, just watching them all, writing notes, going over it all, that I looked at my clock and it was 7 p.m. my time, so I couldn't even do a video that day because my whole day had been gone with it. That's how much was happening. And if you want to know the craziest thing I heard yesterday, but I'll do a montage for you, it was someone calling Donald Trump a fascist dictator that needs to, or like all this stuff. It was crazy, and people in the audience applauded, and then she kept doubling down, getting more aggressive, saying all these things. I'll grab that for you for the montage tomorrow. But it was insane, the fighting talk that's been happening at the WEF this year. I actually thought that this year it would be almost nothing going on, very calm, but I think this year is probably going to be one of the most extreme years, apart from probably 2020, that we have ever seen. Now I've got to tell you this, again, we're going to be jumping all over here, but this has broken as well. Hold on, sorry, wrong camera. Let me open this one. This is broken as well. Norwegians told to prepare for wartime property sieges. Military warns citizens it may have to requisition homes and vehicles if war breaks out with Russia. So this is a very serious thing that is being talked about right now throughout these different Norway and Finland and Denmark as well. Denmark, of course, deploying troops to Greenland. It's really heating up. It really is. It's hard, actually, even for me, to keep up with this. And I have news aggregators and AI, kind of aggregators as well, pulling in everything in real time. And I just can't believe what is happening. So Norway's just issued thousands of letters to citizens warning the army may need to seize their homes and vehicles. Norwegian military officials said the letters were an advance warning to those with assets that may need to be requisitioned. This covers vehicles, boats, machinery, and property, and around 13,500 of these were issued on Monday. They are intended to ensure that in a wartime situation, let me put it on screen a second, that armed forces have access to the resources necessary for the defense of the country, they've said. Norway is in the most serious security policy situation since the Second World War. Our society must be prepared for security policy crises and, in the worst case, war. We are undertaking a major build-up of military and civil preparedness. So let me ask you this then. What do you think is happening right now? Do you think we are de-escalating, or do you think we are almost perfectly in line with my forecast that I made back in 2020 for 2027? Because I think that it is almost, if you think of the hockey stick, we are sort of accelerating now. So I think we are very, very close to that forecast coming to pass. And by the way, if you're not subscribed here to the channel, make sure to subscribe. Talk about economics, finance, geopolitics. You are very welcome here. with all of the members. Definitely leave comments. It's a great community. There's no nonsense whatsoever. None of the mainstream media nonsense. We sort of break it all down and give you the truth and the facts. So next point I wanted to go over then, and these are the streams, these are the live streams that I've been following. There's so many of them. They've probably posted 30 just in today, so you can't watch them all, but I am getting through a lot of them. This one has been incredibly interesting, and I've made some notes for you, and I'll pause as we go along, but let me just play you a quick clip of this.
The world may be very different today, without any question, but I believe the lesson is very much the same. That geopolitical shocks can and must serve as an opportunity for Europe. And in my view, the seismic change we are going through today is an opportunity, in fact, a necessity, to build a new form of European independence.
So listen very closely to the language. She paused. A necessity to build a new form of Europe independence. And we'll keep going through what this is, but let me, spoiler alert, it is a European military, is what she is referring to.
And this need is neither new nor a reaction to recent events. It has been a structural imperative for far longer. So when I use this term, European independence, around a year ago, I was surprised at the skeptical reactions. But less than 1 year on, there's now a real consensus around this. The sheer speed and almost unthinkable scale of the change have driven this, but the underlying imperative is still the same. The good news is we acted immediately, whether on energy or raw materials.
Okay, let's pause here for a moment. This is where we get into a lot of nonsense. So did she say last year, bearing in mind I watch all the speeches, did she say last year that we need this new independent military for Europe, this new independence for Europe? No, she didn't. She did not say that. She's now saying a year later, last year I said, no, you didn't, Ursula. Nonsense. She's also saying that because we won't go through the whole thing, it's 30 minutes long, but she's also saying about the strength of the European Union and this independence. And later you'll hear some of the speeches as well of them talking about this new military. And we'll come on to Germany and France, what Macron and Merz has been talking about, as well as Carney wanting to join with both. And I said this, I was talking about this pact that I thought would happen. So he's wanting to join with both the European Union, but the European Union, she's being very clear, they want this military pact with just them. They don't want anyone else involved in it. Carney talking about all sorts of pacts, not just with the EU, but also with China as well, which we'll see how that happens. If it was trade, I think fine, but if it is anything militarily, chaos. Absolute chaos. I don't think it would even happen. No wonder Trump said the other day, well, it's fine, let Canada do that. Another one she said was, she thinks the EU is now at the perfect place for growth and expansion. She's talking about all the things that they have. One of the things I thought was funny was the people. She said, we have the people. No, you do not have the people. The people are leaving. Again, it's simple economics. GDP per capita is not equal for each country. It's not equal between Africans and South Americans and Asians and Europeans. It's not equal. It never has been. It never really will be. So having this, this one in, one out, we've got all these new people, it doesn't mean anything if they are not educated and have specific skill sets that they can offer the workplace. She also talked about an incredible AI and tech sector. Again, this is not true. She said this can match anyone else. No, it cannot. It cannot match the US AI and tech sector. In fact, the EU made more money fining US tech companies than it did from their entire tech sector and AI sector. So that, again, that is a fact. So a lot of this is just rhetoric and talk, trying to say that they're doing all these great things, but they're not in a strong position. She also, you heard at the end of that clip there, she talked about energy. Wow, we've got this great energy sector. Again, not true. They're still importing a lot of the Russian energy. They just don't want you to know that they are doing this. In fact, Trump actually put out a post saying that he may even tariff the EU because they're buying so much Russian energy. So the irony if that actually happened. She said that we are now going to focus on building a great regulatory environment. Well, this is a big mistake. That is not how you grow your industry and your sectors. You need cheap energy and you let the free market do its work. Coming up with all these regulations is not going to explode the EU. Another big one, EU AI weapons companies that are at the unicorn level now. In fact, let's get on to, let me see if I can grab this clip for you. So that was another point, 1735. Here we go.
And this is why we Europeans have decided to provide Ukraine with a loan of 90 billion euros for 2026 and 2027. With this support, we make sure that Ukraine can bolster its defense on the battlefield, strengthen its defense capabilities for a peace agreement, and keep basic services running. Above all, it reaffirms Europe's unwavering commitment to the security, the defense, and the European future of Ukraine. And in parallel, we decided to permanently immobilize the Russian assets and that we reserve the right to make use of them.
Okay. I mean, leave a comment, ladies and gents. I will read them because I think you're probably thinking the same thing I am. The hubris of the statement there of we're just going to, these Russian assets, they said, were going to be used for the rebuilding of Ukraine. And funny enough, who is now looking to take over from Klaus Schwab, who she praised, by the way, at the start of the speech. She praised him, even though he was kicked out of the WEF. Again, something we didn't have time to cover last year, but he was kicked out of the WEF. I'll leave you to look into that. Soapy massages and other things. Have a look at what the reason why he was kicked out. Misconduct. We'll just leave it at that, and then we'll cough and say some other things over the cough. But these are the things that are taking place. So now they're talking about taking these assets that they said they were going to use for the rebuilding of Ukraine. Funny enough, who is now going to be the leader? Actually, I was about to mention this. Larry Fink. Larry Fink. Don't we know that name? Yes, he's the CEO of BlackRock. And they've all been praising him as the next leader of the WEF. So they talk about all the time about this socialist liberal agenda that they have for the world. And yet they want to put this guy into power of the WEF, the CEO of BlackRock, the largest finance investment company in the world, who said, and I quote, I'm going to grab a quote that he made today. Hold on. Okay, here it is, the exact quote. He said that his main objective right now is to expose the public to a broader range of voices and ideas. He said, we are now seeking a deeper understanding and closer engagement with people. Their goal is to sell the idea that more global control and less national sovereignty is something that the public should accept. Okay, so I've just pulled that directly. So what is actually happening there then? Well, they are using this platform to put the influence around all these people. Some of them are sheep, really are these leaders. You watch them, they'll clap at anything. And some of their questions are so ridiculous that you think, where did this question even come from? Has someone told them to ask? There's no logic behind it. They're giving a speech, and at the end they ask a question which is supposed to be based on the speech. No logic behind it whatsoever, but they give this outrageous question, and then The whole thing is weird. It really is. But what's happening right now, who is on the way right now on Air Force One, is President Trump. Now, this is where it's going to really heat up, because he's taken a delegation of 300 hardliners, is what is being said, with him. So you think about that. These guys who are really slating him, you watch what happens when he arrives. They'll be quiet very quickly. And again, taking 300 hardliners to an event where there's only several thousand people there, it looks like the US might dominate the event very quickly. But I'm going to be watching all the streams, even though it will be late here. Now then, let's continue on. She said a lot of other things. But another threat that they've been making, I think this was Lagarde, but don't quote me on it because I haven't got who actually said it. So one of the proposals in response to Trump's tariffs is that they may begin selling American assets in response to his threats. Bloomberg has actually come out and said that this has been confirmed, and that if it does happen and they all do it together, and someone like China was to get involved as well, that it would collapse the dollar, because at the same time the yen, the bond yields are absolutely going crazy right now. So there's a real crisis that's taking place. Deutsche Bank analysts said that the US currently has one major vulnerability against Europe. They said Europe can use the assets that they're holding, the treasuries, and begin to sell them or dump them into the market. And that could begin to absolutely annihilate the US dollar. Could crash the currency is what they're saying. I don't think it could crash the currency, but it could definitely cause some serious issues. What else has happened then? Well, this is just in the last couple of hours. So Trump actually, he said that to Keir Starmer, he said that he had a brilliant ally for a shocking plan to hand over sovereignty of the Chagos Islands to Mauritius for absolutely no reason at all. He also leaked France's Macron and NATO's Mark Rutte's private text messages. He did a screenshot and leaked these text messages, and now he's threatened France with 200% tariffs on French wine. He also said Macron, no one wants him around because he's going to be out of office very soon. He reiterated his intention of taking over Greenland, and he posted a AI image of planting a flag on Greenland. This just goes on and on and on. Scott Bessent, he actually said, you don't be foolish, don't try and respond, because you can't do anything against us, just let it happen, basically. And then if you look at another one here, if you look at who of the G7 leaders who are going to Davos this week, only one is not going. Who is it? Keir Starmer. He said he's not going to be going. This is just embarrassing for the UK that everyone else, all the big leaders are going. He's not, because he said he's too busy. So Macron's going to be there today. He's going to be giving a speech. We've already had Ursula von der Leyen's speech, which I've gone through. We won't go over what was said in the Commons. That was madness. But this is the most crazy thing. Are you ready for this? So Keir Starmer's not going, but who is going? Who's going to lead the British delegation this year? You can't make this up. It's Rachel Reeves. I mean, how on earth is she going to lead the delegation for the UK? The lady is not a leader. She's Rachel from accounts, as everyone always points out. She makes terrible decisions. She's not a negotiator or a deal maker. This is really, really bad for the UK. It really is. Next one then, let's have a look at a couple of other points. I told you this is one of the craziest streams you'll see. Lashing out in an online rant, the US president wrote, again, this is the Independent saying that, not me. Shockingly, our brilliant NATO ally, the United Kingdom, is currently planning to give away the island with a site of a vital US military base to Mauritius for no reason whatsoever. He added, the UK giving away extremely important land is an act of great stupidity and is another in a very long line of national security reasons why Greenland has to be acquired. Denmark and its European allies have to do the right thing. here was what he posted. Now, there was a couple other points. Here we go. Meanwhile, he's on his way right now to the WEF. Keir Starmer will not go because there's lots of challenges on his time, the ministers have said. It's just embarrassing. I just find it embarrassing that he's not even going to turn up. Right, are you ready for this one? Are you ready for this one? Okay, don't tune out. Stay focused. This is crazy. The UK should consider expelling US forces from British bases. This was actually said. The Green Party leader advocates leaving NATO and says Britain should wean itself off its reliance on the US. This gets crazier as the story goes on. So he's actually said as well, spending less on American weapons as part of a wider dismantling of the two countries' defense alliance. Firstly, what planet does this guy live on? First of all, I don't know if he's okay, if you know what I mean. Why would you want to get rid of... Okay, let's put this into context if you're not a regular viewer here, firstly. The UK and a lot of European countries obviously are in a proxy war with Russia. They're with alliance with Ukraine. Okay. What has been happening is Russia's been saying, if you don't stop sending weapons and everything else, we're going to nuke you off the map. And another thing they've been saying is that it's only because you've got NATO and the US to support you that we're not doing certain things to you right now. So this guy says he wants to kick out all the... And if he wins the next election, of course he will, he's going to kick out all the US bases, all the US troops, and we're going to stop buying US weapons. I just don't think these people get it. These people that are politicians are, I think, some of the dumbest people we have ever had in our politics. You think of Great Britain and the things that this country used to do and achieve, right? It was a powerhouse, and now we are a laughing stock of the world. It's crazy what's happening. Let me tell you some of the really insane things that he said then when he gets into power. He keeps saying when he gets into power. He said we need to get off the American military cooperation, get rid of them. Oh yeah, and then we'll probably get wiped out very quickly, but okay, we'll put that to the side. He says that... Oh yeah, he asked whether he saw the US as a bigger threat than Russia, and he said, I think Donald Trump is very dangerous. I think Putin has clearly done more. Okay. He said he wants to see the UK give up. I've got to show you this on screen. You won't believe it if I don't show you. He wants to see the UK give up our nuclear weapons, saying he'll also try to persuade other nuclear-armed countries, including Russia, to do the same. Again, does this sound like someone who is right in the head or delusional? Here we go. This is the other thing he said. He wants to put a 1% wealth tax on assets of 10 million or more and 10% on those of £1 billion or more, which he said will raise between 15 and 25 billion a year. He then called concerns about rich people leaving the country absurd, saying he would back such a tax even if it did not raise much money. The guy is a lunatic. Asked about concerns that a wealth tax could be widely avoided, he said, I think it's absurd to worry about it. It's not so much about raising money, it's about tackling inequality. It will raise revenue, obviously, if you tax people. No, it doesn't. This guy's a dum-dum. But the point is, if you allow people to hoard assets, that removes other assets for other people. Okay, so ladies and gents, quick economics 101 that you get taught in primary or secondary school or whatever it is for your country. When an entrepreneur creates something new, like creates a new company, for example, and that company is valued, let's say, it's valued at £100 million, right? $100 million. That value has not been taken from someone else. It's a typical sort of socialist, communist viewpoint. It hasn't been taken from someone else. It is value creation. If it was taken from someone else, the GDP would just be flat. It would flatline forever. It would never move, but it doesn't. GDP grows gradually over time. And that's through, well, there's a lot of mechanisms between money creation and everything else as well. But the point is, just because someone creates a business or a company or creates value for society, it doesn't mean they've stolen that money from elsewhere, okay? This is like a absolute basic economics 101. So let's hope this guy never gets in, or else it will be a complete disaster. A warning we had from German Chancellor Merz then. He warned Trump that Europe is going to respond. He said the US economy is not even doing well anyway. And I quote, "The American government knows that we can also respond on our side. I don't want this, but if it becomes necessary, we will of course defend our interests. The economy in the US is not doing as well as the American government expected it anyway. In my opinion, this is also related to tariff policy." Another thing they said at the, actually we won't cover any more economic forum right now, we'll do that tomorrow. France-German tensions are heating up. So Macron and Merz are, there's a big problem between these two. Really big problem. They're arguing over defense contracts, threatening each other now. So this is the worrying thing. It is all breaking down. They're even infighting between each other. Macron, Merz, a lot of the different leaders, they're starting to infight now. And this is what happens. This is what happens when there's one bone and 10 dogs, right? When the butcher's thrown out all the scraps and there's 10 dogs, not a big problem. The big dog will get his food first. He'll growl a little bit. The other dogs will come in. There'll be a hierarchy, right? But when there's one bone thrown out, you just see all hell break loose. Everything goes to chaos. So they're saying now there's bad blood between Merz and Macron because Merz wants Germany to build back up to pre-World War II levels. Okay, I won't say anything on that. Macron doesn't want that. He said that France should be the power player this time around. And Germany is on track to build up a far bigger army. It's expected to be the only EU economy in the global top 10 by 2050, they claim. He said that if President Trump can't get along with Europe, then he's happy to make him his partner. Otherwise, it's like he's saying, we're going to give you these consequences, right? If you don't do this, Trump, we're going to do this. But then he says, I want to make you our partner. He's like saying, well, okay, if Trump can't get along and the US can't get along with Europe, well, we're going to be the big power player anyway, so that's fine. You can get along with us. So you can see where this is all going. It's really, really kicking off. Really is. Let's end with one amusing thing I saw then on the feed. This is one of the things that's happening at the Economic Forum then. These new Gulfstream, $70 million, are on display. Look at this. Some companies are making use of the world's newest private jet, a luxurious Gulfstream that costs over $70 million. And these have been landing in Davos, the flight trackers are showing all the fashion. Oh yes, la la la, we need to see all this. No one cares about your furry hat and coat, but anyway, no one cares about your fashion either. We need to get to the important stuff. Here we go. 5,000 soldiers and anti-aircraft guns have been positioned this year. They said there's a greater security threat, as one might imagine, at a gathering of some of the most important people in tech, finance, and politics. Security is extraordinarily tight. Billionaires and CEOs arriving by private jet. I mean, this goes on and on. They are arriving by private jet to give us a lecture on reducing our carbon emissions. I even thought one of the opening remarks was bizarre. And they were talking about how to car share, how we should all car share, make friends with your neighbor, bridge those gaps, and car share, carpool. The stuff they're talking about is insane. I'm going to phone the steak restaurant again this year, by the way. Let's do it now. I'm going to phone the steak restaurant. And I'm going to see if it's fully booked again this year with all these vegans. And there you go. All right, I'm going to wrap up there. I got some free reports for you in the description below. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel. And apart from that, take care. God bless. I'll see you on the next one.